Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our live. We're joined tonight by Adam Hennessy, who is the coordinator of UX Access Unit. And tonight we'll be talking about basically all things early entry, preferences, how that works out, and when you'll find out if you've been successful in receiving an early entry offer through UAC, which we refer to as the School's Recommendation Scheme. But before we jump into all of that, we'll just have a quick refresher about what UAC is, who we are, and what we do. So, UAC is a centralized admission service, which is a very fancy way of explaining us as the middleman between you, the student, and the universities that you'd like to be considered for entry into. So, when you apply through the UAC website, you can choose courses from over 30 different institutions. And at UAC, we will be assessing if you meet the entry requirements for those preferenced degrees in your application. However, we only look after universities located in New South Wales and Canberra. So if you are hoping to apply to interstate Melbourne University, for example, you would use VTAC, which is the Victorian Tertiary Admissions Centre. A part of the UAC application, you'll have access to the School's Recommendation Scheme and the Educational Access Scheme. So we're going to talk about the School's Recommendation Scheme tonight. But moving on, we'll just do a quick refresher of the timeline for Year 12 students for the rest of the year. So the application system's already online and you're able to create an application that opened up on the 3rd of April, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you will have been notified by UAC that you are able to apply back in April if you're a New South Wales or ACT student. The next important date, however, specifically for the School's Recommendation Scheme, is the 16th of December, because after this, the 16th of September, because after the 16th of September, the School's Recommendation Scheme will no longer be applicable to. You can't click on it. The application will have closed. And on the 30th of September is when the UAC application processing charge increases to the standard price of $215. At the moment, it is around $80. So if you'd like to save some money on your application cost, make sure you apply before the end of the 30th of September. The 1st of November is the deadline for you to confirm and finalise your preferences within your UAC application for School's Recommendation Scheme offers, which is UAC's early entry round. You'll be informed if you've received an offer via a School's Recommendation Scheme application on the 8th of November. And then, of course, in the month of December, it's all things ATAR. You'll receive your ATAR on the 18th. You have until 11:59 p.m. on the 18th as well to go back into your application, check that you're happy with your preference list or make changes to it. And then on the 23rd of December, that's when the first offer round using ATAR for entry will be issued to students. So next, we're just going to re-explain what the School's Recommendation Scheme is, because lots of people get a bit confused about it. Adam, how would you explain the School's Recommendation Scheme application to high school students?
So the School's Recommendation Scheme is UAC's only early entry scheme. So each individual institution may have their early entry schemes, but SRS is our early entry scheme. So it's offers made before ATAR is released, but after your exams. Different types of offers, which we'll get into later, are made. But I would argue that it is the easiest application you will ever do for anything in your entire life. And we'll get into how you apply shortly. But I would urge every single person who applies for an undergraduate position from year 12 to apply for SRS.
So the SRS submission, do students get assessed based on their ATAR, or do they use other things?
So they use other things. So I might say it's a non-ATAR base, because ATAR does play a role. So let me explain. The SRS is based on your year 11 results and or the ratings that your school gives you across 4 aptitudes. Now, you don't have to worry about any of that if you're New South Wales or ACT. we have all your results already. Click a few buttons and we've got everything that we need to assess you. We'll send information to your school to do the ratings independently. You don't have to do a thing. 2 or 3 clicks of a button and you're in the scheme. If you are not from New South Wales or the ACT, you can still apply. Please still apply. We'll still handle the rating side with your school, but you'll just have to give us a Year 11 report, which there's instructions on how to do that on our website. So they will look at, and institutions can do whatever they want, right? This is important to know. So they may look at your Year 11 results, and they may look at your, sorry, Mike Fredsman, may look at Year 11 results, and they may look at your rankings. They may just look at your ratings. They may just look at your Year 11 results. It is up to each individual institution as to how they handle this data to set a cutoff, and anyone over that cutoff will get an offer. Anyone under, unfortunately, won't. But very, very importantly, if you don't get an offer on the 8th of November, it doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. You've still got that main ATAR round as a backup.
So the way I understand it is that through completing the apply to SRS steps when you're in year 12, you're basically getting an extra check of your application. So you might get an offer that could use your ATAR. It might just use your 11 results. It could be whatever the university decides is relevant. And they'll let you know if you've gotten a spot into the SRS time of the degree before you know what your ATAR is.
Yeah, and that's a really good way. I've never thought of it like that, about an extra check. It is an extra chance. It's an extra chance to get an offer before your ATAR has even been calculated, right, based on your Year 11 results and the ratings. Oh, what if I did terrible in Year 11? That's okay, right? It's absolutely fine, because you might apply to an institution that uses the ratings only, or you might apply to an institution that uses half of your Year 11 ratings. The algorithms are too complex to explain here, and I'm not smart enough to explain them. But it is a combination of those factors, and you will get conditional and unconditional offers, and we'll have a chat about what they are soon, from really, really large institutions for a vast variety of degrees.
So it's very low risk, because if you miss out on what you want, you've still got the ATAR time.
No risk at all. There is absolutely no risk and no work, especially for our New South Wales and ACT kids. No work, no risk. All reward. All reward.
We've made it very simple in terms of the steps to apply, but we will show a video a little bit later on so you can get a bit of an idea of what screens and buttons you'll be met with. But SRS isn't available for all 30 institutions in the UAC system. Is that right, Adam?
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. So institutions get to choose whether they'll participate in SRS or not. And we have 15 institutions that do. I'm not going to recite them here. They're on our website, and I think you might even be seeing them on the screen at some point. So those 15 institutions will, I hope, and most of them do, have information on their website, which will have a full and complete list of all the courses that SRS covers. It doesn't cover all courses. Like, I don't know of an institution that offers medicine, for example, as an SRS course, but several offer law, physio, and all the other high-end courses. So go on their website if it's an institution you're specifically looking at out of the 15 that are there, and have a look. And as I said, I'll probably say this another 5 times tonight, no risk or reward.
That's great. So you mentioned that you can't get entry through SRS for some universities, some degrees at a university that might offer other degrees through SRS offers. But Adam, you have children that are high school or university age now, and you don't look a day over 30. What are you talking about? So could you tell us, if you recall, did your sons apply for SRS when they were in year 12?
So I have 3 kids who have gone through uni, or 2 are still at uni. The first one was far too old for SRS. He was predated SRS. But I've got 2 that are currently at university. One is third-year medical student, so he obviously didn't get into medicine through SRS, but he did his foundation degree at Macquarie, which was a Bachelor of Medical Science, and he got an offer in that November round through SRS. And my youngest child, who is in law, he got his offer again through SRS and again at Macquarie. So, and both of them were unconditional offers. So they were made an offer in November. It wasn't the 8th, it was like the 14th and the 12th. It changes every year. But that first round in November, they got made an offer that had no strings attached. So their preference was there. There was an offer against it. They accepted it and moved on. And they had a guaranteed spot at university. And they still went through, obviously, to the ATAR rounds and got other offers, but it was the SRS offer that they both took.
Did they find the whole process easy or any complaints?
No, look, none that they dare voice with me. No, they found it very easy. Look, it's easier this year than it has been any other year because it's embedded under your undergraduate application. So it's at the end of your undergraduate application. There's a little box that'll take you to a little click button that'll take you to your SRS application. But look, it was easy back then too. It was just a separate application that you had to do, but it was still as easy. 2-3 clicks, confirm that year 11, confirm that the school's right, and move on with your life, knowing that you've got a potential to get a wonderful, wonderful offer from one of our phenomenal institutions before your ATARs even looked at by us.
Thanks. So let's move on to the actual instructions of how you apply, although Adam has sort of summarized them already. It's very easy. Before you are met with that SRS button, which, links your you telling us at UAC that you want your application checked before the ATAR rounds, you actually need to have already made a UAC application because you'll be finding that button on the last step of applying. So you need to have put some choices in as UAC course preferences. It sounds a little bit backwards minded, but you just got to put at least one in, and then you'll pay for your application. And at the payment screen, you'll see on the left-hand side that there's a button, would you like to apply for the school's recommendation scheme? Click on that, fill in a couple of check boxes, and you'll be away. But if you do want to change like what we're assessing you for SRS, or you change your mind about what you want early entry into, you can just log back in to your UAC application and update your choices there. But we have a bit of a video that demonstrates how to do all this. It will show you exactly where on the screen to click. So we'll chuck that up now for you so you can get a bit more of an idea about how to actually do it.
If you're an Australian Year 12 student in 2024, here's how you apply for uni through UAC. To get started, head to the UAC website, uac.edu.au. Click the Apply or Login button and select Undergraduate Application from the drop-down menu. Read the information on the Start page. Take particular note of the application fee. Click the Start Your Application button. Register your application by entering your personal email address and a password. You'll be emailed a link to verify your email address. Once that's done, go back to the application start page and log in using your registered email address and password. Select your citizenship and tell us that you're a Year 12 student. Enter your Year 12 student number and a 4-digit UAC PIN. It's important to do this because it allows us to match your end-of-year results to your application. It also means you'll be able to apply for the school's recommendation scheme. If you're a New South Wales HSC student or an ACT Senior Secondary Certificate student, we emailed you your 4-digit UAC PIN in April. So, enter your NESA or BSSS student number and then the UAC PIN in that email. If you're an IB student or you're studying an Australian Year 12 qualification in another state, enter your student number. Then for your UAC PIN, use the 4 digits of your date of birth. For example, if your birthday is 3rd of October, your UAC PIN will be 0310. The help text here gives examples of student numbers and UAC PINs. Once you've entered your student number and UAC PIN, click Continue to move to the Personal Details page. Because you've given us your student number and registered your email address, some of your details will have already been added. Make sure they are correct and enter any missing information. For example, enter your government-issue unique student identifier. You need it to enroll and get a help loan. Here's a link to apply for a USI if you don't already have one. On this page, you can also authorize a friend or relative to act on your behalf. And you can list any disabilities or illnesses you might need support with at uni. When you click Next, your UAC application number will be displayed. We'll also send you an email with a record of your application number. You'll need it to contact us about your application. Click Continue to move through to the Qualifications page. Your Year 12 qualification will have already been added. You have the option to add other qualifications. But as a Year 12 student, these usually won't apply to you. Only full-time employment of 1 year or more can be assessed, so don't enter any information about casual or part-time jobs. Click Next to continue. The Course Preferences page is where you choose the courses you'd like to apply for. You can include up to 5 courses. If you're not sure about the courses you've chosen, don't worry. You can always change them later. Click Search for Courses to get started. First, select the institutions you're interested in, or select all. The courses available at those institutions will be displayed. To refine the search results, you can enter the 6-digit course code from the UAC website Course Search, or you can enter a course name or campus. To add a course to your preference list, select the start date. Place your courses in order of preference. First on your list should be the course you'd most like to do, followed by your second, third, fourth, and fifth choices. The order is important because if you miss out on getting an offer to your first choice, you'll be considered for your second one, and so on. When you're done, save your changes to continue. Now you need to review your application. Check your details carefully and click the pencil icon next to any part of the summary to go back and make more changes. Once you're happy, click the Submit button. Read through the declaration and tick the box to agree with its terms and accept that the application fee is not refundable. Now it's time to make your payment. You can use a credit card or a PayPal account, or you can pay later using BPay. If you choose to pay later, be aware that you can't receive any offers until UAC receives your payment. Once you pay or commit to pay later, your application is complete. It's a good idea to download and save your confirmation of application for your records. You can now apply for other schemes or scholarships. You can log back into your application at any time between 7:30 a.m. and midnight to upload documents, change your course preferences, track your application, change your password, and check your offers. Just remember that most offers to Year 12 students won't be made until December, after ATARs have been released. If you have any questions about your application, call our customer service team or use our online inquiry form.
Just give us a thumbs up when we're back at slide number 1. Selection criteria. Okay, so that was a video showing you exactly how to apply through UAC. And as you saw, it was at the final screen or step that you can find that button to apply to SRS. So your main uni application through UAC and your early entry application, they're linked together. So you find them through your UAC application. If you, for whatever reason, have closed that final step when you're first making your UAC application, or if you're watching tonight thinking, I'm not sure if I clicked that button, that's completely fine. You can find it on the home screen of your UAC application because you can log back into it after you've submitted, sort of like a Facebook, but for Instagram, for uni. And yeah, we're deciding who wants to be your friend, I guess. And the home screen of your application will have the same button there, apply for SRS. So if you've not done it yet, or you weren't sure what that button did, just log back in and click on it tonight, and you'll be all set to receive or be assessed for an early entry offer. Quickly, the selection criteria, although Adam has touched on it already, if you're wondering what we actually look for, it's your year 11 performance, your year 11 studies, a school's rating of your aptitudes in 4 areas. They don't have to relate to the degree that you're aiming to get into. It's just like a form thing that your teacher or someone at your high school will fill out, but you don't have to notify them that you want them to do that. We will get in contact with them. And then in addition to those 2 criteria, the universities, depending on what you've preferenced, what you want entry into through SRS, may also take into consideration eligibility for special consideration under the Educational Access Scheme and also a minimum ATAR. So they're the 4 things that are being checked, but it might not always be that combination. It could be just year 11 and your school rating, not the other 2 things, might be 3 of the things. It just depends. But leave that up to us. We'll do all the checking for you and just let you know on the 8th of November what you've gotten. A lot of people also ask, how do I get my year 11 studies to you? So as Adam explained, it's pretty much all built into the buttons that you click. But did you have anything else that you just wanted to explain to someone that maybe hasn't seen this screen before?
So there's a couple of important things that I think we should cover. Yes, if you're ACT or New South Wales, you literally have to do nothing. And I use literally in the correct term, the correct way. If you're from interstate, you'll have to supply us with year 11 results, and that's an upload. There's an upload button. It's all okay. PDF, 5 megabytes. What I will say to you, but is that when you go in and you have to verify your school, because it'll say you from this school, verify, sometimes it'll say your school does not participate in SRS. That's fine. That does not stop you from applying. What it then does is lets us know, and you let us know if you like, and we'll reach out to your school. So give us a yell, srs@uac.edu.au. Tell us, hey, just applied for SRS, said my school wasn't participating, and we'll chase your school up and get them to participate. So obviously they have free will and they can choose not to, but it just could be that they're not registered on our system for whatever reason, new school, change of name, there's a number of different reasons. And we'll reach out to them and we'll do all the contacting for you. You do not have to do anything for the SRS scheme.
Great. Sounds very convenient, although I would say it would be a bit mean of a high school to not participate.
It would be a bit mean, you'd be surprised.
Okay, so lots of people, because it is a very easy application, they usually tick the buttons and upload the things, and then they're sort of asking us, what happens next? Is that it? So if you are wondering, because you've already applied, what happens next, there's not anything else for you to do. You just wait. And if you change your mind about what you're applying to, you have until 11:59 p.m. on the 1st of November to finalize your preferences, make any edits or modify the order, things like that. And then 1 week later, on the 8th of November, that is what we call November round 1. And that's the first time that Year 12 students will be notified by UAC if they've received an offer. And obviously, we've been checking you with those SRS criteria, not your ATAR, because we don't know what that is yet. Did I miss anything else?
No, you didn't miss, no, not at all. Of course not. But what I will say is that math is going on. If you're wondering what's going on, math is going on, and offers are being made, and institutions are looking at all your applications. And with the preferences, please make sure that your number one preference matches with what the universities make SRS offers in. So if you want to do medicine, but you're willing to take a Bachelor of Medical Science and go in after 3 years of study, don't leave medicine as your number one preference. For that 1st of November date, go in and change your preference to a degree that an institution makes SRS offers to. And then you can change it back after. It's fine, not a problem. But make sure that your preferences match the institution you've looked up and that your course is on their list for SRS offers. Otherwise, you can't get an offer. You can't get an offer to a course that they're not making offers to.
Okay, so talking strategy, you're basically telling Year 12 students, have a list of 5 choices for SRS. Yep. Make sure that your 5 choices in your list by the 1st of November are SRS things. And if you had something in your application that needs to be in there, because something like medicine, you you have to have it in by a certain date. That can be towards the bottom, and then you'll just edit your list or make a new list for ATAR time in which you can move that medicine course
100%.
up to number 1.
Yep. And look, the 5 courses that you pick at the 1st of November when you make your application on the 3rd of April, they could be the 5 that are all SRS and that you want to do anyway, and you stick to it and you never touch it again. Or you might change your preference list every day or every hour on the hour from the 3rd of April until the ATAR is released. You can do that through the UX system. That's what's so wonderful about it. You are in control. You have the power. Right? It's just about making sure that you have the list set by the dates that we give you. 11:59 on the 1st of November is a hard date and a hard time. If you go in at midnight and change your preferences, well, it'll be closed, so you won't be able to.
Be grayed out.
Won't be able to do it, so you're stuck with it. Right? And we can't do anything to help you if you ring up the next day and say, but I didn't get in time. So you've got to look out for those dates. They're very, very important.
So would you sort of describe the interface, like the website part, the application for a Year 12 student? It's kind of like a profile, but for university?
Yeah, that's a fair way of describing it. Yeah, look, we'll ask you through your undergraduate application, we'll ask you all the normal things, age, name, where you live, all that sort of stuff. A lot of processing happens. A lot of EAS stuff happens. The Educational Access Scheme stuff happens based on the school you went to and the address you give us that you live. And it does. It creates a little profile of you, and we use that data to pass on to the institutions around the SRS offer round, so they get a full picture of you and can make offers that will suit your preference set.
And if we described SRS as sort of like an extra check or an extra time in the year that a Year 12 student might be assessed for entry, if we're using sort of common analogies, would you say it's sort of like pre-sale but for university, and then the ATAR comes out and it's like main sale?
Pre-sale for university. Okay. Yeah. Look, hey, yeah, why not? Let's use that term. It's apt. Yeah. It's a chance to get into university before you are given the traditional measure that gets you into university, that being the ATAR. And your Year 11 results are exciting and valuable. And if you didn't go great in Year 11, but you killed Year 12, it's okay too. Still apply for SRS, and if you don't get an offer, that's fine. It's not the end of the world, because ATAR comes along in December and you get an early Christmas gift on the 23rd of an offer to university.
All right. Well, hopefully that's making a lot of sense to anybody that's watching. But if you do have a question, leave it in a comment and we'll be able to answer that for you. But let's get into what kinds or types of offers you can get on the 8th of November, that SRS round, the first SRS round. So an unconditional offer, what does that mean, Adam?
Okay. So unconditional means exactly what that word unconditional means. There are no conditions attached to the offer. It is an offer for admission to university. You will get an email letter saying you've been made an offer to a university. It'll say whatever it says based on the university. You should, even if it's for not your first preference, even if it's for something you weren't sure about, but you put in anyway, you should accept it. Take that offer and then get rid of that preference out of your preference list, right? Because that is a real offer. An unconditional offer is a real offer to university. So you take it, you hold it. You can only get one of them. Take it, you hold it, and you keep it. And if you don't want to enroll in that course at the end of the day because you get 4 other offers up until ATAR and then past ATAR, that's fine. You can give them an email and tell them you're not going to enroll. But take the offer when you get given it. An unconditional offer is powerful. Again, because it gives power to you. It gives choice to you. Nothing is more powerful than choice. And an unconditional offer gives it to you unconditionally, funnily enough.
So conditional offers would be the opposite. It's not quite guaranteed you're in. You've got to meet some terms and conditions.
Yeah, you have to make terms and conditions. So conditional is, again, as the word implies, there are conditions attached. Now, for the most part, and I say this with a caveat that it's not all, but for the most part, the condition can be as simple as finish your high school certificate, get an ATAR. But there are several institutions that have fixed ATARs. So if you get an ATAR of 72, you will be given an offer to this course. And that'll be in the form of a letter. You'll know exactly what you need to achieve. It's not an offer per se, right? It's a
promise.
A promise. Yes, it's a promise. So they are saying that if you get X, you will be given an offer to the course listed. Now, it's generally an ATAR, right, or a completion of. but it can be other things depending on the course. For some courses that require portfolios or practical work or auditions or interviews, that can be included as one of the offers, as one of the conditions. That's not common, but it is quite possible to exist as well. So just have a look at that letter and make sure you know exactly what you need to do.
So if you're wondering, where am I going to find this letter on the 8th of November, or, how many offers you can receive, and I must admit, I skipped ahead, so we're going to skip back to that slide. You can receive one unconditional, meaning no strings attached, offer on the 8th of November. But on that 8th of November date, it's a bit special, I guess.
It's a special day.
Yeah.
It's a special day.
You can get multiple conditional offers. So if you've been made an unconditional offer, no strings attached, you will get an email from us at UAC saying to check your UAC application. If you're made an offer that has conditions, it's got some things that you've got to do in a couple of months' time, you will be notified of that in an email from us. So that's the two different types of offers. You can get one unconditional, multiple conditional. One will be through your UAC application. One will be in an email. If this is a bit confusing for you, we're going to talk about, what happens next, the various types of outcomes, and what you should do if you've been given that thing. So if you receive an unconditional offer, you are able to accept that offer. And Adam, tell me, if you say accept in UAC, does that automatically enroll you into a university? Do you become a student at University of A?
No, and that's a really good question, because there's a difference between acceptance and enrollment. So when you accept an offer, what it does is it essentially tells the university, yep, I'm taking that place. And that's pretty much all it does, right? It guarantees you that spot, and you can enroll at a later time. And many, many institutions will send you an email automatically saying enroll now. And you can if you want. That's fine, because you can unenroll as easy as you can enroll. That's entirely up to you, and I'm going to leave that to you. But accepting it is very, 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 very important, because it means you can get rid of it off your preference list. And it could be your number one offer, and you could then kick back.
Sitting pretty.
Yep, and not worry about anything. ATARs released, don't care, not run out to the mailbox, don't need it, got an offer to university, sorted.
We don't post them anymore, Adam.
No, I know we don't. That shows you how old I am. All right, you're not logging onto our computer with 75,000 other people. Not logging onto our website. It's with 75,000 other people trying to get the results.
You don't have to wake up early on ATAR
Nope.
day.
You can sleep in on the 23rd.
So if you receive a conditional offer, this has a different set of steps to take. So if you're someone that's gotten one or maybe two conditional offers, obviously we need to check to see if you've met the conditions before you can accept and enroll into that preference. But what happens is we need to convert it from conditional to unconditional. And obviously we would need some information about you, some further information about you to check to see if you've met the conditions, which will happen after HSC has finished and your ATAR's been released. So that means that degree that you got a conditional SRS offer to, it will need to remain in your preference list. Correct. Until after the ATAR's been released and your HSC grades or your VCE grades, wherever you're from. And can you convert like two at a time? Like how does that work out, Adam?
Look, it'll depend on the conditions within the offers, but I'd just be very mindful of the fact that when you get that letter, read it. Right? If it's an ATAR of X, you obviously don't have to do anything because you've done your exams, right? All you have to do is sit back and wait for the ATARs to be released, and it'll automatically convert. But if it is something that you have to do, that there is a requisite for you to do, be it a portfolio or an audition or an interview, then that is still incumbent upon you to do it. You don't have to tell us that you've done it. The institutions will do that, but you still have to play a role. So make sure you really drill down on that letter and know that what you're doing is the right thing, because if you miss deadlines, it'll be up to the institution, not UAC, to give you a second chance.
Okay, so for those that have conditions and they want to obviously get the final unconditional offer, can they do like all three of their conditional offers converting into an unconditional offer in December, or is there a different method that works out in the UAC system? Do they have to do it like one at a time?
So what are you asking? Sorry. So you're asking whether if someone's got more than one unconditional offer sitting there, can they all convert in the same offer round?
Yeah.
Okay. No, they can't.
Okay.
We can only the only time you can get more than one offer at any time is in that 8th of November offer round. Their conditional offer is a special day. Any other time they'll convert. You can have more convert, yes, but not in the same offer round.
So it'll be one by one.
One by one. So we have an offer round on the 23rd of December. We'll have one early January. We'll have one late January. So if you've got 3, you can get 3 conversions, but not all at the same time. No.
So it'll be one in December, one in January, one in the second half of January.
Yep. So it can happen, but just not all Christmases at once.
Yeah. So remember, it's possible to receive multiple offers on the 8th of November, but after that time, if you've got 2 offers that have conditions stated, you will have to convert them to an unconditional offer one at a time.
Yep. And again, it's not something you do, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, just leave it in your preference list. We'll check.
Yeah, how it's sorted is based on where it is in your preference list. So your number 1 will get converted before the number 5.
Yeah. Okay, so what if somebody wants another offer after these SRS offers have been sent out? The advice we give is that, yes, you can get a second offer in the next offer round that we check, which for Year 12 students is December. So you need to check what your ATAR is, make some decisions based off that. You have until 11:59 p.m. on ATAR Day, the 18th of December, or ATAR Day for New South Wales, to apply your changes, and then your list will be checked again when we release the next offers, which is on the 23rd of December. So the steps you need to take in your account is to accept any unconditional offer you've been made. Yes. As Adam said, it's important because it might time out, and then
accept.
Yeah, accept it. Once you've accepted it, as long as it has no conditions, it's unconditional, you can then delete it out of your preference list, which gives you an empty spot. You can put in a new choice, or maybe reshuffle the 4 remaining choices up and put a new choice in at the bottom of the list. And that new list will be checked again in December after we know what your ATAR is. So that's the steps being explained, but we also have a video which shows you exactly how to change your preferences. So we'll play that next.
You can change your course preferences in your UAC application as many times as you like. But be aware that there are a few days between each offer round when your preferences will be locked. If you log in at these times, there will be a notification telling you when you'll be able to edit them again. To start, log in using your registered email address and password. Select the Course Preferences tab. Now you can see your preference list. To change the order of your preferences, click on the up or down arrow below the course you want to move until the course is in the correct position. Or select the icon on the left-hand side of the screen and drag the course to the correct position. After you've made your changes, click the Update button and then the Save and Check button. To remove a course, click the X icon to the right of the course name. Confirm that you want to remove the course, then click Update and Save and Check. To add a new course preference, select Search for Courses, then the Select Institutions drop-down. Select specific universities or colleges to search for their courses, or select all. Close the dialog box. Search for courses by entering any of the following: course name, course code, or a keyword. Relevant courses will be displayed. Select one or more courses by clicking on the start dates. Some courses have more than one start date, so take care to choose the correct one. Click on Review Your Preferences. Once you have reviewed your preference list and made any changes to the order, click Update and then Save and Check. If you have any questions about your application, call our customer service team or use our online inquiry form.
Okay, so hopefully that cleared up the buttons you need to press and where to go to change your preference list. Remember, if you are making changes to your preference list for early entry through the school's recommendation scheme, make sure you're happy with your list by 11:59 p.m. on the 1st of November, because we'll be checking it after that.
Like Santa.
Yeah. There is other ways to get an early entry offer in Uniland.
There is.
Adam, we call these direct applications. And can you sort of explain, like, can students do both methods? Do they have to do just one?
No, absolutely. Students can do whatever they want. They've got agency. Keep saying it. It's a recurring theme in everything I say. You've got the power. Of course, we want you to come through UAC, right? We offer 15 for SRS, 15 different institutions, 5 preferences, change it whenever you want. EAS, tons of extra stuff for UAC,
No
right?
questions to answer.
No questions,
No
to answer, no
resumes to
personal
upload.
statements, none of that, right? But all the other, or not all, but many other institutions do offer their own early offer schemes, which you'll have to check their websites for all those details. But they can include personal statements, they can include other forms of assessment, and a few other tick boxes and a few other questionnaires.
Tell us the time you overcome adversity.
Yes, adversity and strengths and learning challenges. So, which is fine, which is all well and good, and they can do what they please. But I would implore you to apply for everything. Why wouldn't you? Right?
It's an extra chance.
That's it. It's an extra chance. You might end up come December the 23rd with like 12 offers, which is awesome, which is fantastic, because it means, again, power. You have choice. You can choose where you want to go, what you want to do, and how you want to do it. We are in the business of making your dreams come true. So I don't care how you get that dream. I would prefer it if you were with us, of course. But if you do a direct entry with another university, as long as you're happy, we're happy.
So, talking strategy, if there is something that you really want to get into, or a uni that you really want to get into, and that you know that they have their own application form on their own website, you can apply through UAC, and you can apply directly on that uni's website for an early entry offer.
Correct.
But what we say is keep your choices or your preferences across those 2 different types of applications unique. It's kind of pointless applying to the Bachelor of Business at University A in your UAC application, and then you go, oh, the University of A has their own thing, I can submit it on their website, and you apply for a Bachelor of Business there, because it's sort of just getting 2 things for the same degree.
Yes, you could end up with 2 offers to exactly the same program. So why not do a Bachelor of Business and Accounting at the second choice? So, or not second choice, but the institution, for example, and leave us with the Bachelor of Business. And then you've got, again, sick of hearing me, I'm sure, you've got choice.
So yeah, keep your preferences or your selections unique across all the different submissions that you make. And the good thing about SRS is you find out on the 8th of November, you have until the 1st of November to finalize what it is that you want entry into. And that is sort of like the last early entry offer date in the country, I reckon.
Yep, and it's the biggest scheme in the country.
Yeah. So if you want to try your luck directly, you miss out, well, you can edit your SRS preference list or your preference list in your UAC application for SRS, and you might get it with us. And then if you miss out, you can try again using your ATAR. So there's lots and lots of times to get something with a UAC application.
Just while we're mentioning dates, I'll go back to the 16th of September. I want to impress upon you how important that date is, midnight or 11:59 on the 16th. We cannot, and I don't say this because we don't want to do the work or we don't want to help you.
Don't email Adam begging.
Don't email Adam begging on the 17th that you missed the deadline, because we cannot the system shuts down. There's a whole heap of stuff that goes on. As I said, math occurs, and it all starts after the cutoff date. So we cut off for a specific reason, and that's to give us enough time to get all the data together to give to institutions to give you the best chance of getting the offer that you want. So unfortunately, if you miss out on the 16th, you can't apply for SRS. It still means the ATAR, 23rd December, is still all good, ready to rock, but we can't, unfortunately, get anyone late into the scheme.
Yeah. So you've got to click the SRS button on the home screen of your UAC application, or if you haven't yet applied at all, it'll be on that final step, the payment screen. after the payment screen clears. Got to click the SRS button before the 16th of September because we will be deleting it out of the system on the 17th when the clock ticks over to the 17th of September. So yeah, it'll be impossible for us to check your application earlier, that extra round, because you won't be on our SRS checking list.
Still got tons of time, still got a month and a half.
Yeah, yeah. So if you aren't sure if you've applied for SRS and you want to check to see if you have, you can log back into your UAC application, and on the bottom of your home screen, it'll tell you if you've applied. And if you haven't, you've got the button to click. Yeah. Yeah. So moving on to the Q&A portion of this webinar. So do we have any questions out there? Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good one.
That is a good question, whoever asked that. Thank you, mystery questioner.
So someone asked, is UAC just checking year 11 results, or do we look at like term 1 of year 12? Do we do a weird combination? Adam, can you shed some light on
No,
that?
year 11 results only. So we get that data from NISA, and they provide it to us, and we, or the Department of Education, and we have it in our system, and it's year 11 only. So if you want year 12 included and all the wonderful, wonderful work that you're doing through your high school certificate, that is what the ATAR is for.
Yeah. Any other questions?
If there's a university that doesn't participate, that's your dream course, should you still have as your first preference and your second preference if it's SRS?
Yeah.
So what was that? If a university doesn't participate, should you still have that as your first preference and put the SRS preference as second? I would say no.
Really?
I would say no. Yeah, I
Oh.
would say put the participating university as your first preference for the SRS preference round, because it's just cleaner. Yes. Don't remove it if it's medicine. Stick by all the rules of medicine. If you want medicine, do not mess around with the medicine, because the medicine is very occult and very
Same
strict.
medicine 10 times fast.
Medicine. So, but no, I would look, unless it's medicine. If your dream is Notre Dame Bachelor of Arts, but they don't participate, I would move, say, Macquarie Bachelor of Arts to number 1. You can still leave Notre Dame on there, but I would move the SRS preference to number 1. Be that whatever university you want.
So the thing about a preference list is that it's your preference, your order of preference. So you're basically creating a wish list for university, right? You're going to put number 1 as number 1. But if we're talking strategy, which this webinar is all about, SRS is an extra check. So, and we're only going to be able to make offers to things that are SRS degrees or SRS unis. So you can be a bit strategic about it, and you can put, an SRS wish list together and just have that in there before midnight on the 1st of November or 11:59 on the 1st of November. And then the next week you'll find out what of those things you've been offered from your SRS wish list. And we were talking about medicine because that's sort of like a different ball game.
Different beast.
You have to have a medicine preference entered into your UAC application list by, I think it's the 30th of September for most places. And if you were to delete it out after the 30th of September, it's essentially cancelling your application to that one medicine preference. So we recommend you change the order if that's the case.
Yeah.
You just drag it to the bottom of your list, and then after SRS is gone and you're all happy because you got something, you can drag it back up to number 1. Yeah.
Do I have to contact my school to let them know I've applied for SRS? Absolutely not. We will do that for you on your behalf. We have contact people from your school in our database. We contact your principal and say, hey, Mr. Principal or Mrs. Principal or ex-principal, you have a student, John Smith, who has applied to SRS. Please get them rated as soon as possible. And then they will pass it on to the raters at your school, of which there can be up to 4. And they will do what they need to do in the back end, and it'll come through to us seamlessly. And just so you know, we chase the schools. Not that the schools don't do a good job. The schools are absolutely wonderful, and they are the backbone of this system, and we love them to death. But they're busy. So we give them reminders throughout the year of lists of students that they need to rate. So we'll do that for you. You click the button, hit submit, do nothing else, kick back.
It's very easy. We do all the paperwork and all the chasing up for you. Unless you're IB or you live outside of the state of New South Wales or ACT, you just got to upload your year 11 results and leave the rest to us.
Is there somewhere on our website we can find out the list of participating institutions and the degrees they offer?
Absolutely. The question was, can I find out who takes a part in SRS or plays a part in SRS uni-wise and degrees and which degrees I can't use for SRS? We have a whole webpage on our website dedicated to that. If you go to the SRS part under applicants or future students, it'll be schools recommendation scheme. Then you can look at like who can apply, and there'll be a link to institution-specific criteria. And when you click through to that, you'll have a whole list of all 15 universities that do the SRS thing, and you can click that little plus sign, which is on the right-hand side, expand it, and there it will tell you these are the degrees that SRS is being used for, like what's on offer, SRS for this uni. And if there's any degrees that are excluded, you can't be assessed for, it'll be also stated there. So find that page on our website.
Excellent question.
Someone's just asked, do I have to contact the university to tell them I'm applying for SRS?
No, you don't.
No, don't contact the uni. You don't need to.
No. So what happens really quickly, right? What happens is you apply when it's all done, all the math occurs and all the rankings and everything, data ratings, and we get year 11 results and it all gets put together by the geniuses at UAC. The institutions get reports. They get reports with all your details and whatever magical number that you've been given, and they will make offers based on the report. I literally, and again, using it in the right way, you click submit, you can download your confirmation if you want, and you are done. All you have to do then is wait until the 8th or the 11th and reap the rewards.
And if you change your mind, just update your list.
Yep.
and then wait. Yeah. What does it mean if somebody doesn't get an offer on the 8th of November?
Okay, so it can mean a number of things. Firstly, it doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with you or anything wrong with your application or that you're not worthy or you're not capable or that you're not wanted, right? So forget all that nonsense, right? You are all of those things and more. What it means is a couple of things. It either means that for that course specifically, you haven't reached the cutoff because of any number of reasons, right? Maybe it's just a capacity issue. Because the main offer round is still that 23rd of December round. So institutions aren't going to fill up their courses before that because they want to wait to see ATARs. So they might only have limited capacity for SRS offers. SRS is becoming bigger and bigger and more of a main offer round. So it can mean that the course is full before it got to your cutoff. It can mean your cutoff just hasn't quite made it, which doesn't mean your ATAR won't. So it can mean a number of different things. It does not mean that you're out of the race. Right, because ATAR still makes a hell of a lot of offers on the 23rd of December. So know that you're of value irrespective of what we say.
So if you didn't get something on the 8th, it just means that based on your list at that time for that extra check, it wasn't successful in resulting in an offer to you. But your list will be checked again in December once we know what your ATAR is. And if you want to change that list, just update it before midnight or 11:59 p.m. on the ATAR day in New South Wales, which is the 18th. And you might get an offer using your ATAR. So the location of the list remains unchanged. It's your preference list in your UAC application. You're just updating it for different moments in time. Yeah. I don't think there's anything else that we haven't answered. But I'll just check what's in front of me. Okay. If someone gets a conditional offer on the 8th,
Yep.
does it mean that that conditional offer has to be number 1 in someone's list?
Okay, that's an interesting question. No, not necessarily. I would leave it on your list if it's your dream course. I would treat your list how you would normally when you're preferencing a UAC. Shoot for the stars and then have backups underneath. If that course that you got the conditional offer for is your star course, then put it in as your number 1 preference. If it's not, it doesn't have to be there, right? Because we want to give you the course that you want. If your number 1 course is something else that you didn't get the conditional offer in, put that as number 1 during that ATAR round because that's going to be your best chance of getting the course that you want here.
Yeah. So sorry to mention the S word again, but coming back to strategy, if you are somebody that wants to get into medicine and you did SRS, you got a conditional offer. December, it's now December time, you know what your ATAR is. You're still wanting to aim for medicine, but you also have this conditional offer that could convert into a full offer. Personally, what I would do is I'd leave medicine as number one and then put the conditional SRS offer or preference beneath medicine. So that would be your second preference. So in case you unfortunately get passed over for undergraduate medicine, which happens to a lot of people, you've got your conditional SRS offer sitting there waiting to be converted if you've met the conditions, of course.
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the strategy that I would implement. But again, it's your preference list. It's your university wish list. It's your application. You do what you think feels right. And if you're uncertain, just contact us and we'll give you some advice. So was there any other questions out there on the internet, Wendy, that we haven't addressed?
Is there any early entry for international students, not SRS, but they can contact the unis directly? That's what I would say.
Yeah, so we're asked about early entry for international students. SRS is unfortunately a no, but contact the universities directly for international options. Each individual institution will have their own individual policy, and you should check with them prior to application.
Yeah, some universities will make offers to onshore international students through early entry, but not in the UAC system.
Yep.
It'll be their own form or thing that you fill out on that uni's website. And again, you can do that and still have UAC. It's really up to you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's all of the questions that we can answer for now. Thanks so much for your attention. If there's anything that we haven't answered, we will be responding to your comment. This live is being recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel if you'd like to watch it back. And of course, you're welcome to contact the community engagement team over email. If there's something that's you're just uncertain of, we'll give you advice over email. Yeah, so thanks everyone. Thanks, Adam, for joining me tonight.
My pleasure. Can I just say before we finish, we are here for you, right? That's the only reason we exist, right? We exist to help the universities get you into their university. So if you have any problems, questions, queries, issues, worries, reach out. That's what we're here for. We have an absolutely magnificent customer service team, a phenomenal community engagement team, and the access team is wonderful. So got all the emails. I'm sure they'll all be shared on the socials. So reach out, yeah, because we want to help you become the best you.
If you all become experts at UAC, I will no longer have a job. So
Yep. Make us retire.
All right. Thanks, guys.